Karnataka is the only southern state where the Bharatiya Janata Party has ever formed a government. But Karnataka is doubly special for the BJP because it is also the very first state where the party, formed in 1980, had ever come to power. And if there is one man who played a very crucial role in establishing the BJP in Karnataka, then it had to be BS Yediyurappa or BSY. A seasoned and wily politician who would come up with a much discussed political strategy called Operation Lotus. It is no wonder then that every time that the BJP formed a government in Karnataka, it was BSY who became the Chief Minister. 4 times the BJP staked its claim to govern Karnataka, and 4 times BSY took the Chief Minister's oath of office.
BS Yediyurappa ಎಂಬ ಹೆಸರಿನ ನಾನು ಕಾನೂನಿನ ಮೂಲಕ
And 4 times BSY had to resign before he could complete his term. Twice Chief Minister Yediyurappa resigned because the BJP could not ensure the confidence of the House. Ironically, the remaining 2 times Yediyurappa had to resign because he himself lost the confidence of the BJP.
I have tendered my resignation to the post of Chief Minister of Karnataka.
So it was on the 26th of July 2021 that 4-time Karnataka Chief Minister announced his latest resignation.
ಊಟ ಮಾಡಿದ ನಂತರ ರಾಜ್ಯವನ್ನು ಹೋಗಿ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿ ಸ್ಥಾನಕ್ಕೆ ರಾಜೀನಾಮೆ ಕೊಡಲು ತೀರ್ಮಾನ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ.
5 decades in politics, 2 days to 3 years at any one time in the Chief Minister's chair. This is the story of the rise and fall of BS Yediyurappa. The day his government completed 2 years in office, Yediyurappa broke down on stage and announced that his innings as Chief Minister had come to another untimely end.
ತೀರ್ಮಾನ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ, ಊಟ ಮಾಡಿದ ನಂತರ ರಾಜ್ಯವನ್ನು ಹೋಗಿ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿ ಸ್ಥಾನಕ್ಕೆ ರಾಜೀನಾಮೆ ಕೊಡಲು ತೀರ್ಮಾನ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ದುಃಖದಿಂದ, ಸಂತೋಷದಿಂದ, ಖುಷಿಯಿಂದ 75 ವರ್ಷ ದಾಟಿದ ಯಡಿಯೂರಪ್ಪನಿಗೆ ಮತ್ತೆ 2 ವರ್ಷ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಯಾಗಿ ಮುಂದುವರಿಕೆ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟಂತ ಪ್ರಧಾನಿ ನರೇಂದ್ರ ಮೋದಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ, ಅಮಿತ್ ಶಾ ಅವರಿಗೆ, ನಡ್ಡಾ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಶಬ್ದಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಅಭಿನಂದನೆ ಸಲ್ಲಿಸಲಾಗುವುದು.
Yediyurappa submitted his resignation to the governor on 26th of July, but assured that he wasn't going anywhere and that he would continue to work for the BJP. BSY also made it clear that the decision to step down was completely his own.
ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ನನಗೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ಒತ್ತಡ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಾನೇ ನಿರ್ಧಾರ ಮಾಡಿ ಇವತ್ತು 26ನೇ ತಾರೀಕು 2 ವರ್ಷ ತುಂಬಿದಿರುವಂಥ ಈ ಶುಭ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ರಾಜೀನಾಮೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಬೇರೆಯವ್ರಿಗೂ ಅವಕಾಶ ಸಿಗಬೇಕು, ಬೇರೆಯವರು ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡುವಂಥ ಅವಕಾಶ ಸಿಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ನಾನೇ ವಾಲಂಟಿಯರ್ ರಾಜೀನಾಮೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇನೆ ಹೊರತು ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಧಾನಿ ಆಗಲಿ, ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷ ಆಗಲಿ, ಅಮಿತ್ ಶಾ ಆಗಲಿ ಯಾರ್ದು ಒತ್ತಾಯ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಾನೇ ವಾಲಂಟಿಯರ್ ಆಗಿ ರಾಜೀನಾಮೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇನೆ.
The opposition questioned the timing of Yediyurappa's exit, asking what prompted his resignation.
It is not Yediyurappa who shed his tears. It is the Chief Minister who shed his tears. It is the utter failure of the entire BJP government and they have lost and ultimately it has fallen to his resignation.
ಪಕ್ಷದ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಇರ್ತದೆ, ಒಬ್ಬ ಭ್ರಷ್ಟ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿ ಹೋಗಿ ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬ ಭ್ರಷ್ಟ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ನಾನು ಬಿಜೆಪಿ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ತೊಲಗಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋರು, ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಲ್ಲ, ಬಿಟ್ಟು ತೊಲಗಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋರು.
Speculation had been building up. Rumors had been rife for some time that BSY was on his way out. And when it finally happened, his successor had still not been announced, though everyone seemed to know that Yeddi would go. For 24 hours, Karnataka did not have a chief minister, and then the BJP announced the name, Basavaraja Bommai.
We have unanimously elected Basaraj Bommai as legislative party leader. We are all very happy. and only in BJP such things will be happen. Dharmendra Pradhanji, as in his leadership, we have elected him, and I will contact Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji for his support and all other things, and in his leadership definitely he will work hard.
The 61-year-old too was from the Lingayat community, same as BSY. He was the sitting Home Minister and considered a BSY loyalist. On 29th of July, after offering prayers at a Bengaluru temple, Basavaraja Bommai went to meet Yediyurappa at his house, ostensibly to ask for some political counsel. And then a few hours later, the incoming Chief Minister went again to the former Chief Minister's house, this time to touch his feet and seek his blessings. Bommai was on his way to take the oath of office as the new Chief Minister of Karnataka.
ನಾನು ಬಸವರಾಜ ಬೊಮ್ಮಾಯಿ ಎಂಬ ಹೆಸರಿನ ನಾನು.
As soon as the oath-taking ceremony got over, it was BS Yediyurappa's turn to reach out to his successor. He handed over a bouquet of flowers to the newly anointed Chief Minister, his way of saying, "It's your turn now." The largest political party in India had always faced an insurmountable peak south of the Vindhyas. Its popularity in all the states of the south was never enough to form governments, except in one. There was, and there is, just one state where the BJP could ever come to power, Karnataka. And if the BJP managed to find a gateway into South India, it was all thanks to BS Yediyurappa. Yet this, the tallest mass leader that the party had ever had, was prompted to resign as the Chief Minister of Karnataka. The question is why? One could even see the pain and the tears BSY shed while announcing his exit, calling it an ordeal by fire.
ನಿರ್ಮಾಣ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಊಟ ಮಾಡಿದ ನಂತರ ರಾಜಭವನಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿ ಸ್ಥಾನಕ್ಕೆ ರಾಜೀನಾಮೆ ಪಡೆದು ತೀರ್ಮಾನ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ.
So one really does wonder why the BJP would risk their chances by pushing a mass leader like Yediyurappa aside.
We have joined 17 members from Congress and JDS. And we fought against our legislature party leaders, Mr. Siddaramaiah and Mr. Kumarasamy, both JDS and Congress. Because we opposed this family rule. We opposed corruption. And we left JDS and Congress and we joined BJP and supported Mr. Yediyurappa. Then the same thing is here.
With BSY sidelined, the BJP seems to be looking at a generational shift with an eye on the 2023 Karnataka Assembly polls. One that would eventually set the trend in the state for the 2024 Lok Sabha challenge.
ಇನ್ನೂ ಯಾವುದೇ ಮೆಸೇಜ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ನನಗೆ. 25 ಏನಾದರೂ ಮೆಸೇಜ್ ಬರ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ಕಾಯ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ. ಸೊ ಕೇಂದ್ರದ ನಾಯಕತ್ವ ಏನು ತೀರ್ಮಾನ ತಗೊಳುತ್ತೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಬದ್ಧನಾಗಿರ್ತೇನೆ ಅಂತ ಹಿಂದೆನೂ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೇನೆ, ಈಗಲೂ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಈಗ 2 ತಿಂಗಳಿಂದನೇ ನಾನು ರಾಜೀನಾಮೆ ಕೊಡ್ತೇನೆ, ಬೇರೆ ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಅವಕಾಶ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಡಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು ನಿಮಗೂ ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಗಮನಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಿರುವಂಥ ವಿಷಯ. ನಾನು ಅಧಿಕಾರ ಇರಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇರಲಿ, ಬರೋ 16 ವರ್ಷ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತೊಮ್ಮೆ BJPಯನ್ನು ಅಧಿಕಾರಕ್ಕೆ ತರಬೇಕು, ಸಂಘಟನೆಯನ್ನು ಬಲಪಡಿಸಬೇಕು. ಈ ದೃಷ್ಟಿಯಿಂದ ರಾಜ್ಯದ ಉದ್ದಗಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಓಡಾಟ ಮಾಡಿ ಸಂಘಟನೆಯನ್ನು ಬಲಪಡಿಸಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋ ತೀರ್ಮಾನ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಯಾಗಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ದಿನ ಇರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೋ ಅಷ್ಟು ದಿವಸ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಯಾಗಿರ್ತೇನೆ. ಯಾವತ್ತು ಬೇಡ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅವತ್ತು ಸಂಘಟನೆಯನ್ನು ಬಲಪಡಿಸೋಕ್ಕೆ ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರವಾಸ ಮಾಡಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ. ನಾಳೆ ದಿವಸ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲೇನು ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿ ಕಾರ್ಯಗಳಾಗಿದೆ, ರಸ್ತೆಗಳು, ರಾಜಕಾಲುವೆ ಇದೆ, ಅದರ ಇನ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಷನ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ. ಸೊ ನನ್ನ ಡ್ಯೂಟಿ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಮಿನಿಟ್ವರೆಗೂ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ, ಕೊನೆಗೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ನೋಡು.
Bokkanakere Siddhalingappa Yediyurappa may no longer be the Chief Minister, but he's still very much a political force in Karnataka because of his ground support through extended family in key political and administrative positions, and by having handpicked his successor. BSY may have exited, but Yeddi has certainly not gone away. And as he has proved many times in the past, as long as he's around, he can always make a comeback. Bokanakare Siddhalingappa Yediyurappa was born in 1943 in the small village of Bokanakare in the Mandya district of Karnataka. His family were of farming stock, and the young BSY studied in a local government school and later attended a government college in Mandya. In the mid-1960s, he got a job as a clerk in the social welfare department in Shimoga, 500 kilometers away. Sometime later, he quit his job and moved to Shikaripura to take up a better job at a rice mill. By 1967, Yediyurappa was well settled, having married the mill owner's daughter, and he had gone into business himself. He started a hardware shop in Shikaripura. This was also the time that Yediyurappa started becoming active in local politics. A Lingayat by birth, Yediyurappa started off as a member of the Janasangh. By the time of the emergency in 1975, he had become important enough to be put in jail for 45 days. Yediyurappa's rise in politics had its roots in his connection with the farming community of Lingayats. Lingayats as a group had been pro-Congress till the 1960s, and after a series of political splits and mergers, the Lingayat vote started consolidating behind BS Yediyurappa, the emerging star of the Sangh Parivar. In 1980, when the Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP, was formed, BSY became the president of the Shikaripura unit. And by 2004, BS Yediyurappa had become the leader of opposition in the Karnataka Assembly. In 2006, he became the Deputy Chief Minister in a JDS-BJP coalition government with H.D. Kumaraswamy of the JDS as the Chief Minister. According to the alliance deal, when some 20 months later, BSY was to become the Chief Minister, H.D. Kumaraswamy refused to budge. The BJP withdrew support, and after a month of President's rule, the party staked its claim to form government in Karnataka. BS Yediyurappa was sworn in as the Chief Minister, but his government couldn't survive beyond the 7th day when it failed to prove its majority on the floor of the Assembly. Yediyurappa's first stint as Chief Minister may have lasted barely 7 days. But 6 months later, in May 2008, the BJP under his leadership had emerged as the single largest party in Karnataka Assembly elections. Yediyurappa fell 3 short of the magic number, but the support of 6 independent candidates helped BJP form the government with Yediyurappa at the helm. Later, BSY is credited at having devised what came to be known as Operation Lotus to boost the BJP's own strength in the House. 7 opposition MLAs, 4 from the Janata Dal, secular, and 3 from the Congress, were promised ministerial posts in return of support. To escape the anti-defection law, the legislators quit their seats, necessitating by-polls. The same people who had resigned now contested the by-elections, but this time as BJP candidates. Of these newly recruited BJP members, 5 of them won their seats. But despite this consolidation, BSY personally could not complete his full term as CM. In July 2011, Yediyurappa had to resign after his name cropped up in investigations into land deals and illegal mining operations run by the Reddy brothers of Bellary.
I have tendered my resignation to the post of Chief Minister of Karnataka.
2.5 months later, Yediyurappa was arrested. After having spent a month in jail, he was granted bail, and a year later, charges against him were quashed by the High Court.
Problem for the BJP has been it's finding it difficult to galvanize itself on the anti-corruption plank or the corruption allegations it's made against Siddaramaiah under BS Yediyurappa's leadership. Yediyurappa is much older. He's a much physically weaker leader than what he was when he built the BJP. And because of the credibility sort of test that the BJP seems to be facing by projecting Yediyurappa as its chief ministerial candidate and opposing Siddaramaiah on corruption, it's not able to really get that campaign into a galvanized position.
With the charges against him quashed, Yediyurappa wanted his chief minister's post back. And when he did not get it, he left the party in a huff in December 2012. BS Yediyurappa formed his own party, the Karnataka Janata Prakasha, or the KJP, and decided to contest elections on his own. The 2013 polls saw a major change in fortune for the BJP. The Congress came back to power with Yediyurappa as the chief minister, and the BJP was reduced to just 40 seats. BSY's KJP had secured 6, but it had damaged the chances of the BJP returning to power. The BJP realized that it was time to bring Yediyurappa back into the saffron fold, and behind-the-scene efforts were on to woo him back. In September 2013, Yediyurappa announced that the KJP would support the then Gujarat Chief Minister Narendra Modi's prime ministerial campaign for 2014. 4 months later, in January 2014, the KJP ceased to exist when it merged with the BJP. BS Yediyurappa, back in the BJP, contested the Shimoga constituency and was elected to the 16th Lok Sabha. In 2018, he contested the Karnataka Legislative Assembly elections and won Shikaripura. Meanwhile, the BJP had once again become the largest party in the assembly, and so BSY could stake claim to form the government.
BS Yediyurappa ಎಂಬ ಹೆಸರಿನ ನಾನು ಕಾನೂನಿನ ಮೂಲಕ
Resigning his seat in parliament, BS Yediyurappa took the chief minister's oath for the third time on 17th of May 2018 and once again failed to garner majority. This time he was chief minister for 2 days when, realizing that he would not be able to prove his majority on the floor of the house, BSY resigned. H.D. Kumaraswamy of the JDS, in alliance with the Congress, replaced him as the chief minister. 1 year later, in July 2019, Operation Lotus Part 2 was in play, when 20 ruling coalition MLAs resigned their seats, ensuring that the Kumaraswamy government lost its majority and Yediyurappa had the numbers to form the government. BS Yediyurappa became the chief minister of Karnataka for the 4th time, and this time proved his majority on the floor of the assembly. But as luck would have it, this time too, he couldn't complete his term. 2 years into his term, BSY lost the confidence. This time, not of the House, but his party. The BJP had decided that BSY had to go.
ತೀರ್ಮಾನ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಊಟ ಮಾಡಿದ ನಂತರ ರಾಜಭವನಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿ ಸ್ಥಾನಕ್ಕೆ ರಾಜೀನಾಮೆ ಕೊಡಲು ತೀರ್ಮಾನ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ದುಃಖದಿಂದ, ಸಂತೋಷದಿಂದ, ಖುಷಿಯಿಂದ 75 ವರ್ಷ ದಾಟಿದ ಯಡಿಯೂರಪ್ಪನಿಗೆ ಮತ್ತೆ 2 ವರ್ಷ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಯಾಗಿ ಮುಂದುವರಿಕೆ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟಂತ